Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. All right, today's tale takes place in the wild, wild west of retail, a.k.a. the return desk at a big box home improvement store. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Man returns used containers full of water and dirt. This happened years ago when I worked at a well-known home improvement store. Stuff like this happened all the time there, but this was probably the most extreme case I ever saw. A man came in to return a cart full of home goods. The cart was seriously full of stuff. He had multiple receipts, and he claimed to be in a hurry. He was flustered and aggressive, telling me that he needed cash for everything and didn't have time for multiple transactions, despite having at least 10 different receipts. I was not intimidated and took my time locating the first item on the first receipt. After I found it, a gallon can of interior paint, I asked what was wrong with it. The store was required to buy back paint colors that were mixed incorrectly. The man said that this was the case, so I started to open the can to verify that it had not been used. Immediately, the man got angry. "Why are you opening it? I told you I'm in a hurry. What's wrong with you?" I continued to open the can and explained that I had to see if the paint was resellable, but when I looked into the can, I saw it was full of water. Shocked, I looked blankly at the man. "I didn't know the color was wrong until it dried," he claimed. I looked at his cart. There were 4 more cans in it. "Are all of those full of water?" I asked. He was red and fuming. "I really don't have time for this. Just give me my damn money back." "I'm afraid I can't give you a refund for paint that's been used," I said. The man snatched the can from my hand, splashing dirty water everywhere. "Fine, I'll deal with this when I have more time. At least take this back," he shouted, slamming a large box down onto my counter. It was a ceiling fan with a light fixture, but it rumbled and sounded strange. Immediately, I started opening the box. The man started yelling about being in a hurry and began swearing at me. Dirt and gravel poured out of the box. He'd taken out the fan and replaced it with rocks. I was speechless and honestly couldn't believe what was happening. The man screamed something about corporate and kicked the front of my counter. Then he stomped out of the store, leaving his cart full of items and his stack of receipts. Then he was gone. A manager went through everything he left. Every single item in the cart was a used container full of sticks, rocks, dirt, or water. Every single one of the receipts seemed to be from a different person, all using different types of payment. I'm not really sure if the company ever pressed the issue or found the guy, but I'm glad I didn't let him intimidate me into taking his returns. I was preparing for the dreaded, but my manager processed the returns anyway, and the man walked out with a stack of cash while we were stuck with several cans and boxes of gravel. Glad this wasn't the case. And our second story. Caffeine, Entitlement, and the Hovering Lady. I work at a local bakery/cafe, and the setup's a bit strange, but I've seen it done at enough local places around the country that I don't find it alien or off-putting, even as a customer before I began working there. There are 2 registers. You line up, order, take your number, and we bring your order out. Weekends are hell. Every single one, ever. The line's out the door all day long, and people come in after the kitchen's closed and get all pissy when we kindly inform them. The hours are posted on every door, on the menus, and online. Get over yourselves and pay attention, you mean people. If Earth were ever in a crisis, you wouldn't survive because you're too oblivious. Basically, what I'm saying here is that everyone is assigned a station, and we're all extremely busy, literally running around the back trying to keep up. If we don't have someone out refilling coffees or drinks, you're more than welcome to come up, and we'll gladly grab you a refill and bring it back to your table so you don't have to wait. We're located in a great part of town, so for the most part, our customers are decent and polite. If anything, we get the Real Housewives type who think they're all that. We all stare, rant to each other about their noses in the air attitudes, laughing at how this is not a super glam town, meanwhile thinking, I'm the one in control of your drink coming out quickly and your food coming out hot. But we never take long enough to warrant too much attention because we essentially end up wasting our own time holding their cup or standing with the food so that we don't forget. The point is, we do get the occasional jerk, and this particular one happens to be a regular. Why anyone would feel comfortable showing their face around here week after week is an embarrassing mystery to me, but whatever. I'd be ashamed, but whatever. These regulars are this woman and her husband. I've never paid much attention to the man, so he may be an innocent party. They always hover over this one table in the front. Why? I have no idea. It's not a desirable table. It's near the registers, the giant line, the doors, and people who like to pull chairs around from other tables out into the walkways, making everyone trying to walk in the walkways, God forbid, bump into chairs. It's annoying for the other guests, but again, whatever. This lady's never given me an issue, but one of my coworkers now refuses to serve her. The woman always comes up for more coffee once she's taken over the table she wants. She comes up over and over again and stands right next to the person ordering, staring down the register person who's trying to take care of the guests who've patiently waited in line. Now, this woman doesn't need to wait in line for more coffee, but about 10 feet away, there's a counter with someone who's in a much better position to refill drinks. Despite their station, they're not as busy and don't have a patient line watching her cut in. So this is where her rudeness starts. After this, she tries to catch the attention of others behind the counter, people who are holding 4 plates of food or the barista, and when she finally does get someone's attention, she's very rude to them. Time and time again, she's been rude, even when someone manages to help her right away. As a regular, it baffles me that she refuses to walk around the counter and continues to be rude to the staff. But my coworker doesn't like bullcrap. One too many times of being bitched at in years or weeks in the business will do that. So now every time hovering woman comes up to get her coffee, my coworker makes it a point to walk by her multiple times when she passes behind the counter, make direct eye contact, and keep walking because F you. Every single week, every time she makes it clear, I see you standing there, hi, I'm available, and I'm not serving you. Shockingly, this seems to have sweetened the lady up a bit, and she's not outright rude most of the time anymore. To my knowledge, maybe we should all try it. Obviously, she's going to keep coming and sitting at her crappy table, whatever. What really got me was the fact that she chooses that loud, chaotic table by the registers every single time. Ma'am, what's the appeal? Is she collecting ambient stress like it's a new skincare trend? Yes. Nothing says brunch like being whacked by every stroller and elbow that comes through the front door. And our last story. You must give the house to your brother. I'm Terry, 32, and for as long as I can remember, I've worn the weary tag of underappreciated, while my kid brother Josh, the family's dazzling golden boy, collected trophies and adoring smiles. I scraped together crumbs of parental attention, and long ago learned not to hope for more. Mom loved to say, Josh is our pride and joy, and you? Well, you're so independent, you don't need anything. The irony, of course, is that they're the ones who forced me to be independent. We lived in Fresno, California, in a picture-perfect house with a laser-manicured lawn. Outside, it looked idyllic. Inside, it felt like a cheerful courtroom where I was forever proving I deserved notice. I still remember the Christmas when I was 10. I just won the city's poetry recitation contest. Dad, however, was already packing Josh's suitcase for a baseball camp in Florida, his big gift. Be proud of your brother, Terry, he said. I clutched my diploma like somebody else's mail. In high school, I worked part-time at a shop to save for college. When application season came, my parents broke the news. We only managed one college fund. Sorry, sweetheart. Josh needs a good education. I clawed my way into UC San Diego and signed for a federal loan, thousands of dollars that later hung around my neck like a millstone. Every night, I replayed the same dream. I was Harry Potter, still waiting under the stars for someone to rescue me. The only people who ever saw more in me were Grandma May and Grandpa George, Mom's parents. Their one-story cottage sat on the Atlantic coast in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. I spent every summer there, thawing out from my parents' chill. Over a faded oilcloth in the kitchen, Grandpa and I would listen to the surf and talk about life. He promised, one day this house will shelter you from any storm. I'd laugh, thinking he was just being sweet. Years passed. I graduated with honors, dove into software sales, and in 5 years climbed to department director. I never wrote home about promotions. No point, no audience. Meanwhile, Josh, armed with his Berkeley degree, leaped into an investment startup. At family dinners, he tossed around words like IPO and multiplying ROI, and my parents glowed with pride. Their only question for me, Terry, how are those famous pies of yours? When Grandma and Grandpa died 2 months apart, I found myself alone in their cottage. The hallway still smelled of Grandpa's Old Spice. The notary read the will. The oceanfront property was mine, outright. I cried, grief and gratitude mingled because their love had reached me even after death. Back in Fresno, I broke the news gently. Grandpa and Grandma left me the Wrightsville beach house. I'm staying in my job, so I'll rent it out. Dad paused. That's unwise. An ocean house should belong to the whole family. At least sign half over to Josh. He's married with kids. They need space. Mom chimed in, Sweetheart, keeping it up alone will be hard. It'll be easier if it's shared. I clenched my jaw. Shared or just not mine? The marathon of calls, texts, and accidental visits began. Josh showed up at my office. Look, sis, I've sketched a business plan. We flip the house in a year, make a killing. You get 20%. Generous, right? 20, I snorted. Josh, do you know what inheritance means? He rolled his eyes. You always complicate things. After my second refusal, Dad emailed every relative claiming I was mentally unstable, in a manic phase, hinting I'd manipulated our feeble grandparents to grab the property. I recorded every call, saved every email. I knew worse was coming. A month later, a registered letter arrived. Dad, Mom, and Josh were contesting the will for suspicious circumstances. I hired Mia, a tiny attorney with the heart of a hummingbird carrying a knife. She gathered medical records proving Grandpa and Grandma were of sound mind, video testimony from witnesses, and my audio files of the threats. At the next mediation session, Dad exploded. You're tearing this family apart, girl. That house must stay in the Wilson line through your brother. Not... I calmly hit play on the recorder. Dad's own voice filled the room. Give up the house and your mother and I will forgive your stubbornness. The mediator arched an eyebrow. After that, there was nowhere for their case to go. I decided on one public final counterpunch. Uncle Sam invited everyone to a Sunday barbecue. With Mom, Dad, Josh, his wife Christina, and their 3 cranky toddlers present, I stepped onto the lawn with a folder. Family, I began. Some of you heard I stole Grandpa's house. Let me clarify. I handed around copies of the will, medical statements, printed emails, and a QR code linking to the audio files. Someone read aloud, we leave our home to our granddaughter, Teresa, who always treated us with love and care. Christina scoffed. Fate! Care to prove it? I whispered. Uncle Sam smacked the picnic table. Enough! It's clear. Terry, sorry you had to endure this. Dad flushed crimson. If that's your choice, don't count us as family. That's your decision, Dad. I'm simply guarding what was entrusted to me. Sorry, sweetheart. Could we have the keys? A year passed. I renovated the beach house and rented it to 2 young doctors from Wilmington. Quiet, wonderful tenants. My student loan's nearly paid, and there's Jake in my life now, a surfer photographer who loves making beachside breakfasts. In June, Mom called. Terry, your father and I were thinking, maybe we could all spend a week in Wrightsville Beach, like the good old family days. I drew a long breath. Mom, I'm glad you want to reconcile, but the house is leased. If you're planning a vacation, book a hotel. You promised to forgive us. Forgiving isn't the same as handing over the keys. The line went silent. Since then, nothing. This Sunday at dawn, I stand on the veranda. Jake sleeps inside, hugging a pillow. Coffee warms my hands. Peace fills my heart. The tide hisses on the sand, and I hear Grandpa's voice. This house will shield you from storms. It has. And it taught me love isn't submission, and forgiveness doesn't erase boundaries. I'm no longer the underappreciated daughter. I'm the owner of my life. And if I ever hear, you'll always be on your own, I'll smile. That's not an insult anymore. It's my greatest strength. The perfect family to raise a Karen. But the girl remained a beautiful person. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.